Hi everyone, welcome back to Art a la Carte, and this is the second episode in our 12 Days of Christmas Art and Craft Ideas. So if you haven't watched the first video on how to make your own advent calendar, make sure to check that out. I'll leave the link right here. So today's craft is going to be a little snowman, and you can hang him on your Christmas tree, or he can be a fun decoration with your package, tie him in with the bow. So here's a helpful hint if you are doing crafts with children. We're going to be using a needle, and of course needles are very sharp. Ow! But there's also dull tip needles that are not very sharp at all. And in fact, they don't have much of a point. It takes a lot to kind of poke you with. And so I use these a lot if I'm working with kids because it's just not going to poke you so much. The only problem with these is that when you're pushing this through the fabric, it can, because it's not a sharp point, sometimes it can really be hard to get that through, so you kind of have to work with that a little bit. So the first thing that you're going to need is a pattern to know how to cut all your pieces out. So this is the pattern that I drew up, and I will tell you at the end of the video how you can get your own pattern, but you're going to need to cut your pieces out of felt. So you'll need 2 of the snowman pieces, 4 glove pieces, 1 of each of the scarf pieces, 1 tree decor piece. You'll need some black pieces for his face, some brown pieces for his arm, an orange piece for his nose, and then this is optional, it's not in the pattern, but I just have this little strip here that I'm going to use as a loop at the top of his head so I can hang him on my Christmas tree. And then of course you'll need some stuffing as well. Threads in the color of red, white, black, and orange, and also some green. So I'm going to start from the inside of my ornament, and I'm going to pick where I'm going to put the eye, and I'm going to bring that in so that the needle is on the inside of the ornament. Then I'll take this little felt circle, and I'll put that through there, and I'm just going to tuck the needle underneath that piece of felt and pull it through. And it's just going to hold that in place, and then I'm going to bring the needle back up through, and I'm going to tuck a little in from the other side, like so, and then I'm going to do it just a couple more times, up and under, and pull it through. And that should secure the eye on there pretty well. Then this is the back side. And so I'm going to take and put my needle up through, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other eye. So I'm going to take this long piece of the scarf, and this is the scarf part 1, and I'm going to take and I'm going to sew my tree decal right on top of that. So the same thing with the eyes and the mouth. I'm going to pull that through and then tuck the needle in behind. So there I go. Okay, so I'm going to take part 2 of my scarf, and I'm just going to take and tuck this piece behind here just a little bit. So that just is tucked right there. And I'm going to take my red thread, and I'm going to do a little blanket stitch, which is really easy. So you put your thread through, and then you're going to come up through the felt, and before you pull this loop all the way through, you're going to take your needle and stick your needle through that loop, and it just catches it right on top. Just like that. I'm going to put this piece aside. So now it's time to put the mittens on the snowman's arms. So I'm going to take my first mitten, and I put my thread up through behind there, and then I'm going to match that mitten up with this one, and I'm going to blanket stitch all the way around there. So I'm going to take and put this through, pull it almost all the way through until it has just this little loop left, and I'm going to put my needle through that loop and pull. Part of the mitten, I'm actually going to take and insert my stick in between the two folds of fabric. So then I'm just going to sew just a running stitch, which you just go up and then back down, just a little bit down, and then up and then back down until I get past that part, because you can't do a blanket stitch if there's a fabric in the way. And then once I get to this side, then I can go back to doing my blanket stitch. Okay, so this is what you should have, what it should look like now. So I'm going to take my 2 pieces of snowman. Then I'm going to begin starting right up here at the top of the head, and I'm going to begin blanket stitching around the snowman for a little ways, just like I did with the gloves. When I get to the bottom of the head, I'm going to put this thread down. I'm not going to cut it, I'm just going to put it down. I'm going to take my red thread and I'm going to thread it in just like that. And I'm going to take my scarf and I'm going to use red thread so that doesn't show up through the red on the felt. I'm going to blanket stitch just that part on. Okay, just like that. Okay, then I'm going to take my needle with the white thread and I'm going to pass it, push it in between those two and have it come out on the other side. Not take off my snowman's head. Bloop. Just like that. Now I'm probably going to put just maybe 1 blanket stitch before I put my first arm in. So I'll take my arm and I'm just going to sandwich it in between those 2 folds, not too far in, just a little bit, so it's nicely tucked in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and do that running stitch that I showed you earlier. Okay, and once the arm is secure, then I'll keep blanket stitching all the way around. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and sew in the other side of the scarf like I did over here. And if it's a little bit long, like this piece is just a little bit long, just take your scissors and just trim off a little bit of that excess right there. So now we have this nice little opening here, and we can still access this center part here. So I'm going to take my stuffing. I'm going to go and stuff the lower part of him right now. Now I'm going to go ahead and blanket stitch up along here till I get about there, and then I'll add some stuffing in his head. Okay, so he's stuffed up there, so that's stuffed. So then this piece of felt, and I'm going to fold it over to make a little loop, and I'm just going to stick this loop right on the end there, and I'm going to blanket stitch right up to next to it. And then I'm going to have a running stitch. Okay, and once that's on there nice and neat, I'm going to snip that off. And there we go. So our snowman is almost done. We just have to put on his nose. So I'm going to take this kind of weird diamond shape, and I'm going to start right up at the very tip of it, and I'm going to thread my thread through the felt, and then I'm keeping that knot right in the center there, and I'm going to fold this over, blanket stitch that down. Okay, now if you feel like it needs a little stuffing in there, you can put a little stuffing. I find that it's just fine just the way it is. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to tuck my needle in right where I want the nose to be and pull that down. So it's anchored it there. So now his nose is anchored. And then I'm going to go and grab another piece of his nose. going to anchor that down. Just like that. Then I'll move on to the next part of his nose. And you just keep doing this method all the way around his nose. Until you've gone all the way around. Like that. And I'm just going to knot it through, and then I'm going to take and I'm going to hide this thread because otherwise it looks like he has a little booger hanging down there, and I'm going to send this up through his nose this way and pull that tight. I'm going to pull it nice and tight, and then I'm going to cut it, and when it loosens up that string will hide inside of his nose. Okay? So another cute thing you can do is you can take his little scarf here and you can just make some little snips right in here. That'll give it that little frayed look. But he's just about done. So there we go. So a little snowman ornament, and you can change tons of different things, adding different kinds of scarf designs, different colors for his gloves. You can give him a hat. Instead of using felt for eyes, you can actually use little buttons for his eyes and buttons down his front. So this kind of gives you just an idea of how to create your little snowman, and then you can begin designing your own. So there we go. Craft number 2 for the 12 days of Christmas craft and art ideas. So cute! In the Advent calendar video, I offered to the first 25 people who commented on that video a free printable design sheet in 3 different designs. And the more I got thinking about that, I kind of thought that maybe that was a little hard for people to message me and me to get their emails, and you know, maybe some people are kind of nervous about giving their emails, and so that's just not really fair. So what I did is I started up a YouTube page on Facebook. And so it's, I'll leave the link to the Facebook page, Art a la Carte Facebook page. And on that page, I will have all of the printables listed there. I will also be posting all the videos and just other fun things. So if you'd like to like the page and keep an eye on that, you'll find some fun treats there. So head over to my Facebook page to get the printable for this snowman here. And also if you want to print off the Advent calendars. So I have 2 crafts done, 10 more to go, and I look forward to sharing another one with you coming up pretty soon. Alright, talk to you guys later. God bless you guys. Bye-bye!